Hey, welcome to ByPro. I'm going to be doing a brief overview of Red Hat's Cockpit project. So Cockpit is an interactive server admin interface and is a really awesome tool for anyone looking to manage Linux systems. So I have a fully up-to-date CentOS 8 VM along with a Fedora 31 VM. So CentOS 8 is going to be running Cockpit version 196, which was released back in June of 2019. And that is the most up-to-date release of Cockpit for CentOS at the time of this recording. Fedora, on the other hand, is running Cockpit version 2.1.6, which was released in April of 2020, which is just over a month ago from when this video was made. So later on, I'll be going into some more detail regarding the differences between these two Linux distros and as it relates to Cockpit, but let's just get started. By default, Fedora 31 comes pre-installed with Cockpit. For CentOS 8, however, we have to run a few basic commands to install and configure it if you install CentOS 8 with a minimal install. So first, let's just log in. So the first command we have to run is just installing Cockpit with DNF. And again, I'm running this as root. So if you're running these commands from a non-root account, make sure you just put sudo in front of each of these commands. Otherwise, you're going to be met with some sort of permission error. So we're going to run DNF install. TAC-Y just means yes to all prompts. And we're going to install Cockpit. Okay, so now that we've installed Cockpit, next what we're going to do is we are going to enable the service. So we're going to run system ctl enable Cockpit. And what this is doing is just setting the Cockpit service to automatically launch each time the system is powered on or rebooted. Next, what we need to do is just prep our firewall to allow connections into the Cockpit service. So that's going to be firewall, tac command, tac permanent. And again, permanent just makes this rule persist across reboots. Otherwise, it'll be lost when the system's either powered off or restarted. We're going to set this to our public zone and then add the service Cockpit. So we already had this rule enabled, which is why we're getting that warning, but that's how you would enable it. And then finally, just to have those changes actually take effect, you just need to restart the firewall. So firewall tac cmd, tac reload. And that should be it. CentOS should be ready to utilize Cockpit at this point. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring a web browser over here. Just a second. And how you'd access Cockpit is you would go to its IP address. So I'm actually going to connect to the Fedora system now, just because Fedora has a little bit newer version and it has some additional features, but it would be the same whether you're connecting now to a Cockpit instance running on CentOS 8 or Fedora 31. So my Fedora machine, it's running at 10.0.2.231. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that. And Cockpit by default runs on port 9090. So just make sure you add that in as well. All right, so now that we're connected to this system, you're just going to utilize the credentials you have for your login. So I'm going to use my root account. And now that we're logged in, you should be met with the system overview page. As you can see, it has some nice graphs showing CPU and memory utilization. And if you click here, you can actually see disk I/O and network traffic as well. We also have a bunch of other options here, so you can look at your logs. This is a really great tool to figure out if you have some errors or some problems you're trying to troubleshoot. It's really quick and easy to get to that. You can also take a look at your storage, see the partitions and drives you have in your system. You can also get an overview of your network interfaces. You can create and modify user accounts on the system. Get a quick overview of the services that are running on this machine. You can also turn SE Linux on and off, and then also see any kind of SE Linux access control errors that could be going on. You can handle your software updates, and you also have a terminal built into the browser. So this is a great tool, especially if you're in a primarily Windows environment where you don't have easy access to SSH, or you're on a system that doesn't have that natively, but you do have access to a web browser. You can log right into your system and you get access to a full terminal. So one of the best features Cockpit has is the ability to manage virtual machines. But this feature isn't enabled by default generally. So to manage virtual machines using Cockpit, we first have to go over here to the applications page and click on this. Next, what we need to do is go to this top right corner and click the refresh button. So now the server is going to communicate back to the distro repos, and it's going to start pulling in available applications for this. Okay, so now we have a full list of all available applications for Cockpit. And what we're going to do now is go over here to Machines and choose Install. Okay, so now that the Machines applications is installed, as you can see over here on the left-hand side, we now have this option for virtual machines. Once we go here, we're going ahead and start libvirt. All right, so from the Machines page, we have a lot of options. You can create, import, start, stop, pause, and generally just manage your virtual machines from this page. So to give you an idea of what it's like to actually manage virtual machines with Cockpit, I'm going to go over here to a server I have running in my lab environment that actually has VMs set up and running on it. So I'm going to log in. So let's use this Kali machine as an example. If I click on the VM, I get an overview of currently allocated memory and virtual CPUs. If I go to this usage tab, I can see how much memory that VM is using, along with the number of virtual CPUs. I can take a look at its disks, the network interfaces it's currently assigned, and I also can get a console right here in the web browser. All right, so finally, I'm just going to navigate over here to the Cockpit project and go to their blog page. And as you can see, Cockpit is under very active development. They're doing a release almost twice a month at this point. And so I generally run Fedora on any systems I want to administer with Cockpit. They're constantly releasing new features and improvements. And this is especially noticeable if you're managing virtual machines. If you need a rock solid production server, I recommend you do stick with CentOS, but Fedora is great for home labs and less mission critical systems. So that's it for today. If you found this information useful, please click that like button and subscribe to this channel so you get notifications whenever we post new videos. That's all. See y'all next time.